Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspectives podcast. This is part two of our series on RPost. On today's show, we have Jake Finnell.
Hey Kenny, how are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm
Thanks for
I'm
coming.
I'm logging in here from Cape Cod. It's only about an hour and a half southeast of Fenway Park.
I will say that if I was going to visit a baseball stadium, Fenway is probably the second on my list. Um, so I can
I,
respect that.
I say that
Uh,
knowing that you might support the New York Yankees and that you and I have something new,
yeah,
a new
I'm
little
worried.
thing to chat about.
I don't know how many of my peers in the partner space actually know that about me. It's a secret I keep. Just
No
because,
longer.
like, I even I acknowledge they're not a good organization. They're quite evil, but as it's hereditary. My dad loves the Yankees. It's just I born into it. And joining us from the great state of Ohio is Brenda James.
Hello.
If you missed part one in our series on RPost, please go back and give it a listen to hear more from Jake. He gave an excellent background on RPost and a really insightful perspective on how they approach innovation in the industry. For part two, we are going to turn to a mutual customer of HawkSoft and RPost to learn how RPost is used inside a real independent insurance agency. Our focus today is Brenda James, who is a partner of Mathews Insurance, which, as a quick correction on part one, is headquartered in Athens, Ohio. Brenda joined the Mathews Insurance team in 2006 after heading her own agency for 17 years. She specializes in hospitality risk and nonprofits, as well as individual, auto, and home accounts. Brenda is a very active member of her community. She is the director of the First National Bank of McConnellsville and is one of the co-founders of Morgan County Habitat for Humanity. Brenda has an adorable golden doodle named Rosie, and when she told us this, she was very quick to add that she also has 6 cute grandchildren from her 3 grown children. Um, I am very excited. I love getting a chance to talk with insurance professionals out of the great state of Ohio. Um, I I would get a series of texts if I did not mention that some of my best friends are insurance agents in Ohio. Um, there's something I want to say there's something in the water for the state. You just produce some of the best insurance professionals out there. Brenda, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to give a shout out. I love baseball, but um, the OU Bobcats are pretty great on the football field, basketball field, and baseball. So
Excellent.
they're my team.
Very good. Very good. Um, well, that gives us a nice, good segue because we like to allow our audience to get to know the agent that we're talking with, and so that they can understand, okay, whose eyes am I viewing this partner through? So, Brenda, could you tell us about Mathews Insurance? How long has the agency existed? How many people work there? Is there specializations on the personal commercial line side? All that fun stuff that you would chat about with a fellow agent over dinner at a conference.
Sure. Matthews Insurance has been in business for nearly 80 years. We're about to celebrate our 80th anniversary. It's a partnership with myself and 2 other partners. We've transitioned ownership many times over the years as an older partner retires. We usually bring a younger producer stepping up, buying in, and becoming a partner at that point. So the structure has worked out really well for the agency, and I think it gives a lot of continuity to our clients as things transition within the agency. We currently have 10 people over 2 offices in southeastern Ohio, and we are looking to hire an 11th person right now. We just had someone leave to move and relocate, so we'll be adding someone soon. We are insurance generalists, which I think can kind of be seen as an outdated model in a lot of ways, but we examine it occasionally and we keep deciding it's the right way for us. We have a mix of about 55% personal lines, 45% commercial lines. And we also, we represent some public entity pools and cover quite a few local municipalities as well. Personal lines and small business, those are our bread and butter, but we really do enjoy working on different types of accounts And we refer to us ourselves as a small band of insurance geeks, and we love to learn about our clients and different exposures and different experiences. And so we are generalists, and if we feel that we can do a good job on an account that's a little outside the ordinary, then that's what we'll do.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Mhm.
And the thing I like to cap this first question off with is what gets you excited about insurance?
Oh gosh, I think, the thing that I love most about it is that there's always something to learn,
Mm.
always something new. You never know what's coming around the corner as far as a new type of risk or a new type of exposure. And, you know, the people that work here, I think we all share that love for the industry because it is just always a challenge. It's always something new to learn.
Oh, absolutely. I I used to say that I did not have an insurance background because I was never an insurance professional. I never sold insurance, never been licensed. But after 10 years with HawkSoft, I really can't say that because,
Mhm.
um, as an example, Jake mentioned that we just had our 2025 Hug National Conference. You mentioned that in part one.
Yeah.
Um, as a bus was pulling up with a bunch of us to second largest cruise ship in the world, I'm looking at it, and the very first thought that goes through my head is, how many carriers does it take to underwrite this risk? And I'm like, okay, I think I can't say I don't have an insurance background anymore because that should not be my first thought. My first thought should have been like, how much fuel does this take? Or how does this thing stay afloat? But no, it was like, okay, how do you cover this risk? How many carriers does it take? How many different layers of coverage and underwriting? Um, they have an aqua show, an aquatic like acrobatics, and all of us were just like, how do you must have to self-insure, like you might like, and we were just, instead of thinking about, oh wow, that was a cool trick, it's just like, what if they get hurt? How do you how do you cover that?
It changes you forever to be in the
Oh, it totally
insurance
does.
business, but yes, everywhere you go, you're thinking, oh, why isn't there a handrail there? Or who's underwriting this, and how do I get their number? They have nerve, they have skill. I want to talk to them.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that background, so our audience
Mhm.
can understand
Sure.
who Brenda is and what your perspective is going to be on our friends at RPost. The way we like to ease into this is an understanding of, how did Mathews Insurance come to find RPost? And the reason we ask this is, we might be aware that there's like a pain point in our office, but we might not be aware that there's a solution for it. So I'd love to know, Brenda, what were you looking for when you first encountered RPost?
I originally found RPost because we wanted a secure method to obtain electronic signatures. And so I needed something that was affordable, easy to train, and easy to use, not just for my staff and my people, but also on the customer end. When
Mm,
I send something to this customer, how easy is it going to be for them to sign this document, read this document, open this document? And we needed it to be able to be used legally if needed. So that's how I first came to our post. The interesting thing about the company is just the array of secure services that they offer. So we currently not only use our sign, which is their electronic signature for applications, we use it for forms, but we also subscribe to our mail, which is
mm,
their encrypted email services. And so we know that our emails are going out encrypted and secure, and that clients can also reply to us securely, which is important on occasion. Um, and so, as an agency owner, I don't just have to wonder, like, is an employee going to be sending out something accidentally that has personally identifiable information in it? We hope that that doesn't happen, but with our post, I don't have to wonder about that. I can make sure that it's encrypted if that's included, or if there's an attachment, I can make sure it gets encrypted. Um, and then their tracking service is great, which lets us know, yes, that email was delivered where it was intended to be delivered, and it wasn't opened in some third world country that someone's trying to spoof an email or track someone's email. that kind of thing. So it's a lot of peace of mind. And it was an originally approaching looking for electronic signatures, but then it just kind of opened up all these other services. And over time, we have gradually added things, and we depend on them a lot.
Oh, excellent. And I'm going to dive into that in a moment. I want to ask Jake, um, in part one, you mentioned that you've been to a lot of insurance conferences, and I imagine you might be similar to me, where, or even Brenda on the insurance side, you'll overhear something. I think that oh, why isn't there a guardrail here is a perfect example of like, oh, I see that there's this gap here. So, Jake, is there something that you have learned in your career that like, if an agency says, oh, I wish I could do this, or it sure is a pain that I have to do this, that you're like, oh, we're the solution for that. We're the fix, or we're a potential problem solver for that.
We hear this a lot, and Kenny, like you all, and I'm sure the same with Brenda. If you're not listening, you're not even trying, right? You need to be out there and asking lots of questions. I help coach a lot of our customer success and the sales staff. And one of the things I keep circling back to is you got to ask a lot of questions. Selling isn't that hard if you have courage, right? And you can engage with somebody. But really, in my view, selling anything is about asking questions. So when we're out there at the events, our team, let's say we're at, have a booth or whatever, one of our rules, and again, I've coached a lot of those folks too, is you don't sit down, right? You're
Mm.
not sitting down waiting. It's not. So you're out there engaging and listening and asking questions. And Brenda, we've learned a lot over the years by simply just saying, hey, how do you handle this, or what do you do about that, or have you ever? I mean, you just mentioned something recently. I don't know if you're using this feature of our service, but we now have a way to identify if you're or someone on the recipient of an email you sent, if their email is being eavesdropped by
Hmm.
a cyber criminal, right? We
Mhm.
have this new thing called eavesdropping alerts, right? So, like
Mhm.
Brenda said, we're constantly innovating. So I don't know if you're using that or not, Brenda, but
We do.
a bell rang in my ear. And I said, "Oh, she basically just described, our new service. If Brenda shoots an email across town somewhere in Ohio, and all of a sudden she gets an alert that this was opened in Western Africa, you know, her first reaction should talk to the person who she sent it to and say, "Hey, are you vacationing in Nigeria today? Because if you're not, we need to talk right here and now because
Yeah.
your email is being it was just opened in
Yeah.
Nigeria." So
And
so we listen a lot, Brenda, and we ask a lot of questions, and I think that's what again, what innovative software companies must do is listen to the Brenda James of the world and not just come up with something because you thought of it in the shower, but rather listen and ask questions. So that's
right.
we're big on that.
And I do use that service. And
Oh,
one of
good.
our IT providers, I had sent an email to one of the people I deal with there, and she was vacationing in the Philippines. And I immediately called her boss and said, "Is she in the Philippines?" And he said, "Yes,
Right.
actually, she is right now." So, it, and when I was traveling last week, I opened emails abroad, and it immediately sent an alert. You can set parameters, if you
Yep.
say if it's opened outside of the US or if it's opened outside of, certain parameters, but ours, we set it fairly broadly. But yes, we want to know if something is outside of the United States. I get what's called a red alert
Mm.
if it's
Right.
opened outside of the United States. So, but I can see every Google server that it hit. The knowledge that we gain just from working with RPost about things like this, about ways to prevent or at least try to monitor to the best of our ability, and the knowledge that we gain about things that are going on out there is really invaluable to us. It makes you think differently. It makes you behave differently, and it makes you, um, you know, more knowledgeable about the ways that people can get into your organization or your clients. So um, we protect people however we can, and we think insurance is a part of that, but certainly providing secure communications is a part of it too.
I completely agree. I think it's always illuminating. I love security, and I think I've talked to Jake about this in the past. I sit on HawkSoft's internal security review team, or I can't remember what our formal name is, but we're the group that like oversees like, oh, what security training are we doing, what security incidents happened. And I think it is one of those things that the more you start doing it, you're like, oh, this is critical work, because I think that once you become a victim, you realize how big it is. But until then, you might just be, I think probably you have a perspective on the world that's like, no one would do this to me. No one would grab a package off my porch. No one would try to intercept my email and change some information when I'm sending money so that I can, maybe you're collecting funds for Habitat of Humanity, and someone sees that and they're like, oh, let's try and get in the middle of this. I think a lot of people choose to see the good in the world, and so they miss that there's these bad actors out there. And so it is good. I like that what you said there about um, it's educational to go to turn these things on and then get some hands-on experience to like, oh, okay, this is what they're helping us prevent.
And you also mentioned I'm on the board of a local community bank. And so I see some things there that kind of raise my level of awareness. And so, yeah, those things, you can be as optimistic as you want, but um, people need insurance and security and things like that for a reason. There was a session at HawkSoft at Sea
Mm-hmm.
about security issues, and I'm hoping we see some at the owners retreat in Vail as well. I don't know what you have planned there, but um,
Oh,
security
absolutely.
is top of mind for us always.
Yeah, we touched a lot on the third question I was going to ask you, which is, what your agency can do now with RPost that you couldn't do before. Is there anything that we haven't touched on yet that you're using RPost for that is really makes your agency more efficient, makes you better at doing your job?
I just did want to mention though a couple of features of our post that is important to me. We can, as agency owners, we can control a lot of things that happen within the agency with email, and also within things that go out for electronic signatures. If we say, once it's sent out for signature, it expires within 5 days or 7 days, or do we want the user to be able to set how many days the person has to sign? Those kinds of things. We can set some defaults, we can set some parameters. So, as an agency owner, that's important to us. And we do use those different settings and features. But yes, I think, it was funny. We signed up with RPost probably 2017, 2018. I don't even really know now. It's been a little while, but and we use the service quite a bit. But boy, when COVID hit, and
Mm,
we could do all those electronic signatures, and we knew our emails were secure, and we weren't able to meet with clients in the office and those kinds of things. We realized that we were, ahead of a lot of other small businesses as far as just being able to roll right along, and that was great for us. So, you know, it helps you get through a lot of things that you never anticipated. So,
yeah, that's excellent.
mhm.
So now, in part one, we gave Jake the opportunity to provide constructive feedback on insurance agencies.
Mhm.
And so we offer the same opportunity for Brenda with respect to our post. And one thing I will say is that our conversations here are a dialogue, and they're supposed to be honest, open, transparent. So I will say, HawkSoft is on the table. If HawkSoft factors into your feedback, um, I am here to listen and take that back to the team. So Brenda, if there is one thing that you could change about our post, what would that be?
Well, this is my thing with everybody, and we touched on a little bit in the first episode Jake did about just how difficult communications are. Everybody gets a million emails. Everybody gets a lot of communication on the daily. But I am a fan of recorded information.
Mm,
Let me listen to that podcast. Let me, I would love to see our post. We get a lot of emails that say, "Hey, did you know this is happening in the
mm,
security space?" But I would love to, once a quarter get a recording that's a half an hour that I can listen to in my car, that brings me up to speed versus emails day in and day out that I may or may not have time to read. So that would be, a benefit to me. Those are things that are of interest to me as an
yeah.
agency owner. What is going on out there? What kinds of things are happening with email and document interception? And how do we work to keep things as secure as possible. So I'm always a fan, but I do tend to favor podcasts over
Yeah.
written communication. And I understand everyone has to do it in a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
Um, and so, I would just like to see that added
Yeah,
because there are a lot of those emails that come in on important issues that I just don't get time to read.
totally.
And that's one thing that I love about HawkSoft is, we can always go back when we have time and watch some videos or listen to a podcast. And I do love that about HawkSoft, that we
Oh,
get information in a lot of different ways. So,
yeah, thank you for that. I want to give you credit for the most unique answer to this question that I've received in 80 episodes of recording. And I think it's very actionable. Like, I don't want to speak for
mhm,
Jake, but
right.
I think you know a guy with the equipment. Um, and that was a very unique answer, and I really appreciate it. It's not where I expected it to go. I
Oh,
would say,
okay.
from my perspective, I would love HawkSoft to have the ability to more directly communicate with RPost, even with our sign.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the key pillars of our partnership program is that our solutions are not not our,
Mm-hmm.
our solutions
Mhm.
are not the only thing that an agency needs to be successful. And so,
Mm-hmm.
even though we have our own signature tool,
Right.
um, there's a lot of additional functionality that our post through our sign offers that we don't. And so, um,
Right.
I'm just
And
putting this on the record as it
yes.
is a fight that I fight internally about having better connectivity there.
Currently, with the R sign, we have the icon saved just like any other website. We go to it that way. But it would be nice to have more seamless, way to send documents to it and integrate back
Yeah,
versus having to then get it in our sent
sure.
email
She,
and
she said
bring it
my
back
favorite
in.
word again, Kenny.
Yep.
Integration.
She did.
Oh, I'll tell you, we just um, so many things since we've come over to HawkSoft that we enjoy with integration, and I really do look forward to that developing more because we just chase emails all day long. We
Yeah,
chase communications, text, email, um, and things. It's just yes, and so it is
yeah,
nice when if I sent out that R sign email. Um, it would be nice if it just automatically is in the customer
totally.
like a regular email is when I send out that when I say R sign email, I mean
Yeah,
their electronic signature requests and then when they come back as well. Um,
yeah,
but gosh, that would be lovely.
You know what else, Kenny and Brenda? What we're hearing a lot and we're putting a lot of focus is integration plus automation, right? And I'm hearing this a lot where companies are looking for ways to automate more things. So I feel like that's probably something in the future for all three of us, and especially HawkSoft and RPost is coming up with ways to make Brenda's job easier, right? She
yeah,
sends that e-sign request. Well, how about five other actions happening automatically right
Hmm.
afterwards
Yes.
that normally she or someone else would have to go in and do? But integration plus automation, I think, is where it's headed.
We spend probably more of our time documenting than we do doing, and it's so frustrating sometimes. So, and I know you guys get that. You get that. We need to document, but um, at the end of the day, I just want to help my customers understand, what they need to understand about the products that I'm offering to them,
yeah.
and so anything that makes that process smoother is always helpful to us and helpful to our customer because then I have more time to explain, the things that they need to understand. So,
I completely agree, and you have my support in that arena. We have been having an amazing conversation, and so the last question I want to ask is, thinking back through everything we've touched on so far about how our post is used at Mathews Insurance. Brenda, how would you describe the value that our post brings to your agency?
mm. I think I did mention the just the knowledge that we gain from working with them is really really invaluable to us, but also it's that peace of mind as an
Hmm.
agency owner that you understand the situation, there are tools to deal with it, and you have a peace of mind. Now, we have spam filters and we have other things, on our emails, but we also have RPost because that's that extra level of security and tracking and things that our regular spam filters don't always pick up. So when we're sending an outgoing email, we know where it's been, we know where it's going, and we know it got there. And to us, that's important to document. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
Brenda, I cannot thank you enough for taking time away from the agency to talk with us.
Thank you.
Um, my last request is if you can email us a photo of Rosie, we'll put it on our dog wall.
All
Um,
right. You got it.
and Jake, I know you have a dog as well, so feel free to send yours to us too. Um, Sincerely, thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you, Jake, for
Thank
joining
you.
us. I am grateful for the insight that you both have shared over these last 2 episodes. Thank you for watching today's episode. Click the episode description below to learn more about our guests and to view the latest podcast episode, as well as other content from HawkSoft. We appreciate you watching and hope you join us next time on the Insurance Perspectives podcast. Thank you.